Hi, it's Dorothy Guinan with Scrapbooking Quebec. In this video, I'm going to be creating a page 2 design, essentially stretching a single page layout into a double page spread. This video is in real time, so if you're not into that, please mute me and use the gear icon to speed up this video. This process took about 50 minutes to create. I'm going to be explaining my spin on the mirror technique. It's a technique that's great for creating complementary pages, stretching single pages into double page spreads, and simply switching up tried and true page designs to make them fresh and new again. Here's the material I'll be using. It's mostly from the Simple Stories Boho Sunshine collection, and most of this came from the Mercy Tierra Kit Club's August 2023 collection called Outdoorsy. I will list the products and tools I use in the description box below. Also, the page I'll be stretching was based on a sketch from Creative Scrappers, and that sketch was used for the August monthly challenge over on the Mercy Tierra Kit Club Facebook page. I can't share the sketch, but if you want to find it, head on over there. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is talk about what's on my desk. So you can see I have the original page here. This is the one I want to stretch. In advance, I prepared the same frame style foundation page that you see on the original page. So you can see here I had 3 pieces of paper, but I did gut 2 of them, and there is a tutorial on my YouTube channel where I explain how to do that as to not waste paper. So I'm going to link that up below. In addition to that, I have 2 photos here that are going to go on the second page, and these ones are double matted just like the page 1. Also here I have a bunch of paper. So I have basically the same papers you see on the original page. I have this floral paper here, and on the original page I did use both sides of it. I also have the scraps of paper from the foundation page, this wood grain paper. I have any scraps of paper as well left over from the original page. So all of this is handy. In a tray here, I have a bunch of embellishments. And again, I'm using the same embellishments I used on the original page. I have my leftover die cut pieces from the original page. I have kind of pre-selected some of the ephemera pieces that I think may go. Those are some foam titles. I also have these self-adhesive brads. Anyway, you can see I've got it all handy here as well. In addition to that, on the original page, I did use some tools. So when I create a complementary page, I always kind of dig out the very same tools. You can see here I have a stamp set. So I have the very same stamp sets from Stampin' Up called Gorgeous Grunge. I also used 2 different die sets here from Tim Holtz. So once again, I have those handy. I do have leftovers, so I may not need to use them, but they are handy just in case. Also, on the original page, I used my Creative Memories tearing tool, so I have that handy. Same thing for my little tiny attacher. I put some staples on the original page. Basically, you get the idea. I pulled out everything that I used on the original page. I also brought out the very same ink. So the ink I have here is just Jade from Stampin' Up, along with Morning Mist from VersaFine Clair. So let me clear all this up and we will get started. Before jumping into the actual process, I want to let you know how I plan to stretch this single page into a double page spread. First of all, I want to say it's not going to be the same story. So essentially, I'm making a complementary page here. I just want them to look nice side by side in my album, but 2 different stories. The approach I'm going to use here is the mirror approach. So essentially what I'm going to do is mirror this design on the page 2. And what that means is it's going to be repeating the same foundation page design. And when I'm talking about foundation, I'm talking about these layers here that set up the foundation page, not necessarily the elements that I sit on top of it. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on. But to mirror the page design, think of it like this. This is like a book that opens up and it's going to be identical. So I'm going to have this very same shelf design here, except you can see here there's a dip here over towards the right of the page. Well, the dip on this page 2 is going to be towards the left of the page because these are going to be mirror images. Same thing here. I have the title over on the far left. Well, the title on this page is going to be on the far right. Here is where the photo section is. For me, the photo section is going to be towards the left-hand side of the page instead of the right. So I'm going to be creating a mirror image. So let me get out my tools and we will really start the process. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is start creating this shelf that you see on this page. But what I want to do, of course, like I mentioned, is make the dip in this shelf on the left-hand side as opposed to the right. So I have my tearing tool here and I'm going to leave this handy. Obviously, I'm not going to get it exactly the same, but I'm going to want the dip, let's see, I want the dip to be on this side. Alrighty. Okay, so this is going to go like this. Hope I get it right. Anyway. Uh-oh. All right, how does that look? That looks okay. It's obviously not going to be identical, but that's going to work for me. So what I want here is to trim this. Let me get a ruler here. Just want to have an idea. It's going to be at about here. I'm guesstimating that that side here is at about 5.5 inches. Let me check here again. I'm guesstimating completely. Ooh, no, it's not. At about 5 inches. Alrighty, so I'm going to want the side with the largest dip to be at about 5 inches. Let me just see how this looks. Let's just put it the other way. Ooh, it's not quite the same, but yeah. No, hang on. I've made it. I am going to do that. I'm going to take 1/4 inch off of that. How about that? What's it about here? Again, obviously this is ripping, so it does not have to be perfect. But anyway, you're getting the real deal here. This is how I stretch a single page into a double page spread. So that's just going to have to be good enough for me. I'm not even going to check it. Now, what I want to do is I want to create this second layer here. So I'm simply going to place the top layer on top of this floral paper. And I'm going to use my tearing tool because I want to basically more or less follow the same ripping. Okay, here we go. Let's just do this. And then I'm going to have to curve my way up here. There we go. So there I have it. I am going to trim this down a little bit because, you know, that'll give me a nice floral 12-inch strip of paper if I need it for another project. It's not very much, but it's very pretty paper. Seriously, it's not really going to give me much, but oh well. There we go. I've got that here. This will go over in my scraps. Now what I have to do is repeat this wood grain paper. So I'm going to take this and I will get my ruler out. 2 3/4 inches, so I want it the very same width. And for the length, it's just going to be a bit longer than this one. Ah, I got to, yeah, anyway. I just remembered something. It's actually a really good thing I saved that strip of paper because I have this narrow strip here and I kind of wish I had cut it at 3/4 inch because I know by looking at it, that's exactly what that is. That's what I had started cutting it at. Then I made it bigger. Oh well. So I'm going to be very careful here because I have a very narrow strip of paper. I'm trying to line it up on the 3/4 inch, but I'm not going to have a lot of hold here. I'm also keeping in mind that a lot of this narrow strip of paper that you see here is covered up. So if it's not perfect, it's really not going to be that big of a deal. Okay, so I have it there. Now I have this, so I want to trim all of these down to form the shelf here, and I more or less want them to be the same. So this one here is at 9 3/4. So that's what I'm going to do for these ones here, 9 3/4. Oh, is that it? Yeah, that's it. Same thing here, 9 3/4. This one here is just a little bit, that's about a 1/2 inch bigger. So for the wood grain, 9 3/4, I'm going to do it at 10 1/2 there, just to be sure. I'm not getting too worried about the details right now. What I want is this to be wider, but I also know that this shelf is going to be piled up quite a bit. And this one, I am going to want it to be just longer, that's all, than the wood grain paper here. So that was at 10 1/2. So I'm going to do this one at 10 3/4 there, just a little bit wider. There we go. So I've got all of these strips of paper here. I'm going to clean all of this to tidy up my desk a little bit. Hang on. And all of the paper pieces on the original page, I did ink them. So that's what I'm going to do right now. And I am going to be using this ink here, Morning Mist by VersaFine Clair. So I'm just going to get going on this. I think this part, you know what? This is really boring. It will take a few minutes, not that long. So I think what I will do is just stop the video and continue inking here. So I don't want to cheat you out on real time, but this is just way too boring and repetitive for me. So hang on a moment. Okay, so my inking is all done, and what I'm going to do right now is simply adhere the shelf to the page, and I'm going to use this page as my guide. So, well, I'm going to start by adhering this floral paper to, I don't know, I guess I'll call it a rainbow paper. So at this point, I'm just kind of eyeballing the part that I'm leaving hanging underneath. Again, especially with ripped paper, it's never really exact. You can see this one here, it's all kind of ruffled up. I will wait until the end to do that. Now what I need to do, I guess what I will use as my guide is this here, this little aqua colored paper. It's the very same one as this rainbow paper. I'm going to use that as a guide to adhere to the distance of my page. So that is 4 and 4 3/8. So let me do that. To the top. Okay, I will eyeball it in the middle. Again, once all the embellishments are there, it's little discrepancies in measurements don't really show. I'm a person who definitely likes to measure things, but I do know when I pile up all of the embellishing, you know, 1/16 or 1/8 of an inch really is not going to show. 8, nope, that's a bit further down here though. Let's see if that works. Even it's a bit too much for me. I'm saying it, but I'm not preaching it. I should say I'm preaching it, but I'm not following what I'm preaching. That one looks way far down. Way far down. It's because it is. Let's just see here. This isn't right. What do we got here? We got 7. Yeah. It's like this. Sorry about all this silence. I am just concentrating. 7.5 minus 2. This is why I rarely do real time. I'm afraid you're bored to death. I think that looks just about right, although the bottom part doesn't seem to, but I'm just gonna have to move ahead with it. One more little check here. Okay, once that's down, I'm hoping I'm good to go with the other one. So now I'm gonna do this wood grain paper here. This one here, I think I'm gonna more or less eyeball it there. I'm just gonna eyeball it. That was just too much. Okay, let's see. That looks pretty close to right. What I'm really looking for here is I want it to be straight. Okay. Okay. Much better, much easier. Now, same thing for this little strip of paper. Pretty much gonna eyeball it as well. Okay. How does that look? Okay, I know it's gonna go on this side here, but yeah, I am liking how that is looking right now. So let me get out my photos. I don't even know where my photos are at this point. Hang on a sec, there we go. Now my photos are going to go here, like I mentioned earlier, and I'm going to say right off the bat, when I'm mirroring a design like this, I mentioned I was mirroring the foundation page, so you can see how I've done that here. What goes on top, I could mirror it identical, but I find it's interesting when you change things up a bit. I happen to have two photos. By the way, these are photos my husband took of me on our daily walk, but it happened to be a very sloppy day and we had to cross this little log, and he thought it was very funny that the way in which I was crossing the log. So he was snapping away these photos. So I'm documenting these photos. They are kind of funny. Anyway, back to my point. The idea is, even though I'm mirroring the design, what I find interesting is that I'm changing what's on top of it. So the placement of the photos is where it should be for a mirrored design, towards the left-hand side of this layout, but I have two photos instead of one, and the orientation is different. So that adds interest to the layout right off the bat. It makes it look different, but you can tell the two pages go together. And I will continue explaining the differences I make as I go through the process. But right now, what I want to talk about is this inking here. You can see I've done some stamping on the page, and there is something I did to my delight when I created the original page. See here? Obviously, I was trying to figure out here what I wanted to do. So I made these little templates on scrap paper and I was playing around with them. Now I'm very, very happy I saved them. So, and what I also saved, much to my delight, was this scrap paper I was testing on, and I wrote the ink color, and I also wrote, third generation stamping. So you can see I did one stamp, two stamp, and this one is even paler. So this one is the third generation. Now, I can't say that I intentionally saved this for this page, but obviously it was on the back of my mind that I would be doing a second page, and I'm so happy I saved it, because honestly, I have probably 100 different ink colors. I would have been trying to figure out which ink I had used. So just a note, it helped me out. Maybe it'll help you out if you're doing the same kind of thing as me. Anyway, what I want to do here is just kind of figure out where to stamp. Now, when I'm creating a complementary page, when I'm stretching a single page into a double page spread, often what I do is I rely on visual triangles. So you can see here on my original page, I have basically a main cluster here and a cluster here. So I'm going to want another main cluster here. I often create single page layouts in diagonal designs with two embellishment clusters or two main embellishment clusters because of the way I scrapbook. Frequently, I stretch it into a double page spread, even if it's not the same story like on this page. I just want them to look nice together side by side in my album. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put my main cluster up in this area to form a visual triangle with these two clusters on the original page. I also plan to put another title here, but before doing any of that, I've got to decide, do I want to do a bit of inking? And I suppose I do, and luckily I have these templates here. So again, I am going to be doing embellishing around here, and a lot of it probably will be covered up, but I think I'll probably do it in maybe something like this. I guess I'm not going to worry about it too much. So let me get out my ink here. So the stamp set I'm using, I'll show it to you. It's a really old one from Stampin' Up. It's called Gorgeous Grunge. So it has all of these kind of paint splatters and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is the very same thing, the 3rd generation stamping, more or less. Let me just check this. In this area, and I'm going to leave these templates right here. I will move them when it comes time to stamping, but at least I have a guide, more or less, where I want to do my stamping. And again, this is just Jade by Stampin' Up. So let's see how this looks. I'm going to do 1 stamp, 2 stamps. So in order to do my 3rd generation stamping, it's going to go somewhere around here. Like it again, see, nice and pale. Great. I'm going to do the very same thing right here. 1, 2, and this will be my 3rd generation stamping. There you go. So I've got a little bit of color here. Again, a lot of it's going to be covered up. I'll wash that later. So now I have this, and I am going to want to start to play, oh, I think I had it like this, to play with my embellishing. Got my tray here. So what I have here, okay, I just show you quickly. I have these self-adhesive brads with a bit of chipboard. I've got a bunch of die cut leaves and flowers that I created for the original page, and I do have the dies handy, but I hope I have enough for that. I have some little ephemera pieces here, so I pulled out some that I thought I might be able to use. Basically what I'm thinking for that is I might use some of them, but what I really want to kind of repeat, you can see here on the original page, I have a little journaling box and a little tag here. I also have one of those self-adhesive brads. I do have this. I think I'll repeat this with a title here. I kind of pulled a few apart. These are actually pulled apart for another layout that I didn't use, but I'm thinking I might use the word smile. First of all, because my husband was taking photos of me, but also what I'm looking for here, even though I want to repeat the title over here because it's a different story, I don't want it to be identical to this one here. And what I mean by this is 2 words, one on top of the other. So I could repeat it. For example, be happy would be kind of the same type of shape and size. Often when I create a page too, even when I'm mirroring it, I like to make differences. For me, mirroring it is often the page foundation, the layers on the page. As far as I'm concerned, that's the bones of the layout. And then after that, I can change it up to make it work for me. So back to my embellishing here. What I'm going to do is get out my leaves. I don't have that many flowers, but I hope I have enough. I'm only making 1 cluster, and I'm going to go from here. So right now, I just want to play. So thinking of putting my title around here somewhere, repeating the position, but not necessarily repeating the exact position and size. I'm going to start with these flowers here. Okay, so I have the big ones. I'm always going to start with the bigger ones. I think I only have 3 big ones, and I have a bunch of small ones. Okay, that should work, hopefully. Let's say I do something like this. I don't know. See? I don't know. See? Okay, let's just not. Okay, let's leave it like this. Come in with the bigger leaves. What I used to create these embellishments was cardstock from Simple Stories. So I don't know the exact color of them, but I have kind of a bunch of Simple Stories cardstocks. They sell them in those color vibe packs. And I do love Simple Stories material. Now, often I buy paper, the printed paper, I buy extras for the B-sides for matting photos and stuff. But I definitely have some cardstock in my stash as well, and it does coordinate nicely with their collections. So I've got the leaves. I'm kind of liking that. I have these sprigs. These are really cute. These are all from that Tim Holtz die set. I'll list it in the description box below. I've got a lot of use out of that die set this month. Honestly, I'm quite happy with it. I had 2 different die sets from them. Funky Florals, large, I think, and Funky Florals, small. But yeah, they're kind of detailed to put together. Like this flower here has 3 different pieces, but it's the kind of thing that I don't mind doing if I'm either listening to a podcast or watching a YouTube video or Patreon, something like that. So yeah, I'm liking that. I'm going to come in with obviously a few of the smaller ones. I have one of those. I like that one there. Yep. So liking how this is looking, maybe something like that or that, I don't know. The thing is, what I'm missing here, and again, not a huge story, just basically my husband laughing, taking photos of me. So I do have a little bit to write. Now this journaling box here is, well, it's round. I'm losing my words. I don't want it to be the same idea here. I want to change things up a bit. This is looking really different, but it's the same foundation page. Kind of liking that. I'd have to cut it off. That gives me at least a little place to identify what's happening. And anything else here? Well, there's this camera that's kind of cool because, hey, maybe I can just fit it in here or something. All right, I'm going to have to come in with some finishing touches. However, what I am going to do is adhere this right now, and I will attempt doing this real time. However, if I find it getting incredibly long and boring, I will stop it anyway. So let me get started with this. Okay, so what I'm going to do right here is, I could take a photo here. My phone isn't handy, so I'm just going to sort of try to move it without disturbing the placement of the cluster too much, but I can see that I already did. Anyway, what I'm going to do right now is start by adhering these photos. So an idea where that's going to go. Do I have my ruler handy? Yeah, here we go. Something like this. The funny thing about these photos is my husband had his camera on live mode. So when he was taking the photos, you could also, when you looked at the photos, you could hear what I was saying. And honestly, it was highly entertaining. I almost, oops, this is gonna go over a bit. I almost sounded like a duck. I had this weird noise come out of my mouth. It was really quite funny. Anyway, I'm putting these in here because he absolutely loved these photos of me, even though if you look at my face, they are not very becoming, but it's a funny memory, and that's what our albums are about, right? Real life. So anyway, we need those funny memories. Here I am fussing. This is why I don't do real time very often, because it's going to take forever. Anyway, here I go. I want this one. Okay, good enough. Oops, there we go. Sorry about that. I ran out of battery, so I just had to change my battery. So now what I'm going to do, I know my title's going to go around here, but I think what I'm going to do is work on these flowers here. So I have my foam adhesive. I have my sticky Specks. For those of you who don't know, it's basically like a sheet of almost like wax paper with adhesive on it, and you put detailed pieces on it like this leaf here, and it will pick up the adhesive, and you use them over and over again. It's really quite amazing. It's not like I put my piece on it and the adhesive disappears forever. I'm not quite sure what happens, but they get really dirty, but I use them over and over again. Anyway, I forget how these look, so I'm just gonna build it like I am building a flower bouquet in a vase of flowers, meaning I'm starting with the big flowers. I'm going to use my photo here, tuck one sort of underneath. Then I'm coming in with the bigger ones here. What I should be doing actually right now is probably putting some of these sprigs down. But no, I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna live dangerously. This yellow one here, I am going to pop up on foam adhesive. Later on, when I do my finishing touches, I am going to come in. See these flowers here I mentioned, they're in 3 pieces. I'm going to be fluffing up the leaves a bit, and it does add some really nice dimension to the clusters. I've been having a lot of fun with those dies this month. So now I'm coming in and adhering my leaves, and again, notice here I'm putting the adhesive just towards the bottom. That's because later on I'm going to want to come in and add a bit of foam adhesive to the tips of these leaves, because again, that's another really fun way to add dimension to embellishment clusters. So I don't have to pop them all up, but at least I have the option to do so. So I like doing that. Coming in with these bigger pieces here. I forget where I had the 5th leaf, up here or here, I'm not sure. I'll wait for that. What I'm going to do is come in with these spriggy leaves. So here I go using my sticky Specks by Ecstasy Crafts. I'm also noticing that this product is available at more and more places. The Scrapbook Nerd ended up getting it. The Scrapbook.com has it. I've been using it for years, and for the longest time, the only place I could find it was directly from Ecstasy Crafts. But now I'm finding it in more and more places. So that's actually quite convenient for me, because at the time I wasn't ordering anything else from Ecstasy Crafts, so I would have to, you know, pay shipping to just have this small product sent to me. However, I did it anyway just because it was worth it. As much as I complained about it for many years, and I did, I would say, oh, this is so messy, I don't like it, but I kept using it, and when I didn't have it, I would be missing it. So I don't know. What does that make me? Anyway, I'm actually just being honest. That is the evolution of my relationship with sticky Specks. Kind of a love-hate relationship, but hey, I'm still using it. Here I go. I'm kind of liking this. Maybe I'll have another one of these sprigs. I really, ooh, I don't have too many of them. Here's one. I'll put another one of these in. Okay, whatever. Another one of these, maybe. Okay. Again, I'm using quite a bit of foam adhesive here, but these are the Stampin' Up Stampin' Dimensionals. I like them. They're not too thick. Okay, so for my journaling, what I'm going to do here, I like it kind of like this, and I don't want the safety pin. So I'm going to find myself a trimmer here, a small trimmer. Just trim this down a bit. Ooh, how do I know if I'm getting it straight? Anyway, I can always cut more of it off. Where do I want it? Nope, a little bit more off. I'm just inching my way through. I don't want it. Okay, that's good. I'd rather cut too little off and then continue cutting than cutting too much because, yeah. All right, kind of liking it like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually wait to adhere it. I'll do my journaling. What else do I want to do here? Okay, I kind of like that, eh? Where do I want to put it? It's just, it's about, you know, it's about taking photos, right? Do I want it there? Yeah, details, details. Okay, I kind of like it popping out from there. That's where I'm going to put it. Let's do a little bit of foam adhesive here. What the heck? Where did I have it? Kind of poking out from this leaf. Okay. There we go. That I'm going to adhere it a little bit later on. Where do I want my title? Let's bring in my other page for a minute here. Okay, see? Ooh, maybe I want it something like that. No, I'm liking it like that, I think. I feel like, I'm not sure if I'm liking it. I feel like I'm missing something down here. Maybe I need it like this. No, I still like it there. What am I missing here? I might need something there. I'm not sure what. I could always bring another flower down or something. A couple leaves maybe. Actually, that's probably not a bad idea with the leaves. I'm not sure, but I could probably do something like that. Or, okay, hang on a minute. There's one thing I do know I want to do. This here has to be fluffed up, okay? Just like on the original page. So that's one of my finishing touches. I'm going to get to that right now. Okay, that will give me a better idea, at least, of what the bottom of this layout that's looking, what it's looking like, and that seems to be what's bothering me right now. The bottom, it feels like I'm missing something down there. So let's start finishing off the bottom a little bit. Okay, I do like it, but I want the smile on there. I'm gonna want to staple there like on the opposite side, but I'm not liking this. Oh, what about this? Smile, it's a happy day. Oh, it's a happy day. Smile, it's a happy, not bad, although I'm not ready to commit. How about smile, it's a happy day? Would that work? Actually, that's even not bad. For some reason, by building it up here, here's what I'm thinking at this point. By building it up here, I still want to maintain the visual triangle, which I do have with the flowers. So I could do that. Or I could do something like this. Could I do that? Oh, happy day. Nope, don't like that. Possibly just popped up a bit, maybe something like that. Maybe smile, oh happy day, smile, oh happy day, or that isn't smile, oh happy day. See, these are the details that can last, that can make me scrapbook a very long time on a layout. I'm pretty good about zipping through the basics, but boy, when it comes time to these finishing touches, I can last a long, long time here. It could be something like this. Or maybe I need to bring this up. But if I do that, I'm still feeling like I'm missing something down here. Smile. I don't think I can bring that up. Oh boy, sorry guys, this is taking forever. Okay, I'm liking this. I don't feel like spending forever on it. A couple things I want to do before I commit to that is decide if I'm going to add just a few more leaves under here. One of these sprigs. Maybe just leaves. Do I need yellow down there? I don't know. I kind of wouldn't mind a bit of yellow. Maybe just peeking out. The reason why I have to make this decision now is because these foam titles are really, really sticky. I don't know if you've ever used them. They're very popular by Simple Stories, but man, once you take off the sticker from that plastic sheet, it's going to stick very, very fast. So I do not even want to attempt that until I know exactly what I'm doing. Now, there's another thing, okay, before I'm really down to the finishing touches here now. You can see on the original page, I have one of these self-adhesive brads. So I wouldn't mind using some of those, maybe in 2 other spots, because I only have them once on this page. What could I do? I could put one up here, and I'm looking at this camera, and that's speaking to me because, although I was thinking of adding a staple there, I won't lie. I kind of like the idea of having a staple there, and one just might negate the other. Well, here's what I'm thinking of doing. I'm thinking of using this little camera one somewhere. And I would want a third one. And there's this kind of peacock colored one here, and that could go at the very end of that. I don't think I like it actually. Maybe I'd want it there. Maybe I'd want it right in the middle of my camera. It's kind of cute there. I'd still need a third one. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I know I like that. I am going to, I can't decide here. Okay, I'm just going to make a decision. There's one thing I'm noticing, and this is often true with ephemera pieces, and this is really picky of me, but if you look at it really close, I don't know if you can see it, you probably can't. There's tiny little notch pieces there. I can barely see it myself, but I know it's there, and it's kind of driving me crazy. There, it's gone. See, that's all it took. So that's all it took to satisfy me. I really shouldn't complain. All right, I'm just going to make a decision here. If I were scrapbooking without a camera on my head, I would probably not make this decision at this point, but for your benefit, I am making a decision. I guess you will see in my layout share at the end of the month if I decide to change, but you know, it's okay. So I'm just going to go with it. Just gonna do that, and I need a little bit of tape here with, no, not that one. That one, for whatever reason, the petal. Here we go. I'll do this one. The middle of that flower was really off center, so I didn't want to use it. Okay, I'm just gonna go with that. How's that looking right now? That's okay. And that would mean I kind of, oh, I like the idea of part of this tab being hidden. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just going to want to make sure that's straight. And oh, I like that. Maybe I want that popped up. Ooh. I just bent my E. That's the problem with these foam titles. They're beautiful, but I have a bit of a beef with foam stickers with paper tops because you have to be really they're beautiful, but you have to be very careful or they actually, the tops will bend, and I don't like that. So you have to be, I guess it's more or less, in my case anyway, a learning curve of how to use them. You just got to be really, really careful. Okay, before I press it down, I just want to make sure I'm happy with that. And I thought maybe of just, putting this one on foam adhesive. Just having it pop up a bit. Okay. Alrighty. Things to me always look better when they are adhered down. So I'm almost done here. What I am going to want to do is do my journaling here and add a staple. I'm going to add a staple here as well and a staple here as well, because if you look at the original page, I have a staple here. I have another staple here as well. But anyway, I'm going to put staples here, staples here. Chances are I'm going to put a staple here. I'm also going to want to look for self-adhesive brads. I'm probably going to put 2 more on, not quite sure where, but I will explain that at the very end. But the only thing I want to do right now before finishing is just to fluff up some of these petals like I mentioned. And that's just going to add more dimension to these areas there. I'm just going to flip them up a bit. I had a lot of fun this month playing with those 2 floral die sets. there. And of course, I'm going to come in. So that's it. Off camera, I added my journaling, a few staples, and 2 self-adhesive brads. I hope this video gave you some ideas on how to mirror a page design. This technique can be used to stretch a single page into a double page spread, to create a companion page like I did, or just switch up one of your favorite page designs to make things different. If you'd like to see other ideas on how to stretch a single page into a double page spread, there is a page 2 design playlist on my channel. If you enjoyed this video, I'd greatly appreciate a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, Scrapbooking Quebec, I would be thrilled if you did. And if you are a subscriber, thank you very, very much. Take care, and I will see you soon on YouTube. Bye-bye.